Hey YouTube fans, Tyconders there doing another action figure review. Well, it's not one, not two, but 4 action figures in one review. Now, hopefully I won't go too overboard and well, I wouldn't say over time, but I generally don't keep any kind of time frame for these videos, but hopefully I don't waffle on too much. Now, before I proceed, I just need to say that these videos are for collectors over the age of 13 plus to abide by the FTC and COPA rules. And what I'm reviewing today is 4 of the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. So these are the 7-inch scale figures from the 2020, well, late 2020. I think 1 or 2 might be from 2021. Actually, I don't think they're from 2021. They're all from 2020. So what I have to review is Grimknight, which is a Batman figure. So there's 3 Batman figures and 1 non-Batman figure. So we've got Grimknight, who is just about to fall over into shot. So they all come in the standard packaging. I won't go too much about the packaging. You can see on the back of the box it has an image of the character. I see the name Grimknight there. He is one of the alternate, I think he's in alternate Earth Batmans. You can see there's what looks like a picture of the Batman Who Laughs in his statue that he's standing on. So I'm not too familiar with the characters on some of these characters, with the exception of one of them really. But I picked these up because they look really cool. So from my understanding, the Grimknight is basically a kind of what if Batman was more like Punisher and went around with armed to the teeth with weapons and guns and stuff. Kind of like the same way that Thomas Wayne uses guns, this version of Batman does. And he does come with a collector card. And he is a Bruce Wayne. He's not a Thomas Wayne. And it's ripped from the Batman Greatest Nightmares. The Grimknight is the world's most dangerous vigilante, unafraid to use any weapon, and go to any lengths to stop those he dreams worthy of death. Armed with the finest arsenal Wayne money can buy, he is now one of the deadliest Dark Knights in existence, second only to the Batman Who Laughs. So, and it says Batman Who Laughs comic 2016. So, as I said, it's from that. The card you get is with the same image. Each one of these comes with a card, kind of collector card with a bit of brief bio on them. So I will try and read out that for each one. The second Batman, it just says Batman on the box, but it is the hellbat suit. So it is a kind of armored up mech suit for Batman, as far as I'm aware. Again, surprisingly, it comes in a standard size box. Considering the size of the wings on this guy, the wings are packed into this. Each figure does come with a stand, with the exception of one of the Batmans. He comes with a flight stand and not the standard stand. So they come with the hellbat suit is this one. Here's the collector card for it. And it basically says, Bruce Wayne, after losing his son Damian, aka Robin, Batman eventually found a temporary peace until Damian's body was stolen and taken to the fiery planet of Apocalypse. Determined to bring Damian back to life, Batman dons experimental hellbat suit forged by the other members of the Justice League and ventures to the hellscape of Apocalypse, take on the virtually indestructible ruler Darkseid. And it's from Batman and Robin number 35, comics 2014. So, as I said, it's like an armored up batsuit. It looks really cool. And as I said, it does come with a stand. They all come with the same stand, which I believe this is the one that came with Joker, or it could have come with one of the other figures I reviewed, but they all come with the same stand. You can just about make out the DC logo in there. And it's basically the same. If you're familiar with the McFarlane Mortal Kombat line, it's the same stand that comes with them, right down to diameter. And the only difference is, whereas the Mortal Kombat one says Mortal Kombat, DC one has a DC logo that's barely visible. Would have been nice if they did it in a grey or a silver, or even a white, but unfortunately it's just done in a more gloss black on a matte black, so it's hard to see. The other Batman figure I have is the Negative Earth 32, aka Dawnbreaker. Basically, if I flip around the back of the box, you can see the image of this version of Batman. He is basically a Green Lantern Batman, but instead of being a good guy, he is a bad guy. Again, collector card, brief bio on him, and just move the box out of the way. So, DC's dark multiverse on Earth -32. The green light of will has twisted an angry Bruce Wayne into something very dark and sinister. After the murder of his parents in Crime Alley, young Bruce is gifted with a Green Lantern ring, which allows him to fly and to generate deadly hard light energy constructs. With no Alfred Pennyworth to guide him, he soon swallows his fear and pain, and lets the void that remains corrupt him and the ring, unleashing a wave of darkness across his world, and now Earth as the Dawnbreaker. And it's from Dark Knight's Metal Comics 2017. Again, he's Bruce Wayne. What's interesting about the ring, it was mentioned in one of the other reviews that I've watched of this guy, that the actual ring is supposed to be cracked because he let the fear in, and the counter to the willpower ring is the fear power ring, and he's basically corrupted the ring. But I'll get into that in a minute. Instead of the standard black base, he does come with the flight stand and has the DC logo that you can actually see on it. And then the final figure I have, it's not a Batman, but it is someone from the Bat family. It comes with the build and connect and build Batmobile part. It comes with the centerpiece. It is the Nightwing, the standard blue and black version of Nightwing. So I'll flip it around. There's 3 figures in this wave to complete this build. Well, I wouldn't say it's a build a figure, but a build a collectible part. And those 3 figures was the Batman Who Laughs, the standard version. There's 2 versions of the Batman Who Laughs. There's now a winged version and a kind of standard version. And Batgirl and this Nightwing. So if I just take away the box, I didn't take the car piece out, obviously, as you see on the box, because I don't have the other 2 parts. But this is the Nightwing's card. And flipping around, it says Dick Grayson began his crime fighting career as the original Robin, Batman's protege and crime fighting partner. An expert acrobat and skilled fighter, Dick eventually left the nest and ventured out on his own as a new hero called Nightwing. His childhood experiences as the circus acrobat and trapeze artist make him extremely agile. He is a superior fighter and highly skilled martial artist who has been personally trained by Batman. Nightwing is a keen detective and natural leader and strategist with advanced knowledge of variety of technologies. So, and this version is from Nightwing #1, Comics 2016. So it's not his original Nightwing uniform, which would have been interesting to see, which is the really bright blue with yellow, blue and bright yellow, and has a big high collar on it. But I will bring the figures in. So that is Nightwing. That is Grimknight, who looks really, really cool. I will mention the issues that I had with him though when I got him out of the packaging. There is the Dawnbreaker, or -32, and then bringing up the rear is the hellbat suit. And as you can see, what I mean by the box from being kind of standardized compared to Nightwing's, who had a larger box because it incorporated that build-a-piece. So I will start with Nightwing. Nightwing, aside from his base and collector card, comes with 2 additional accessories. And the accessories he comes with are these 2 little things. These are the batons that he uses. And what's cool about this figure is he actually has storage for them. So they can actually slide into a spot on his back. And they slide in quite well and hold in quite well. They're not going to drop out. So you can have him holding the batons. He has the articulation. Now all these guys have pretty much standard articulation. He can, because he has the dual wheel or double elbows, you can actually have him grasping both batons to look as if he's about to remove them and go to go to town on someone with them, which is pretty cool. So articulation wise, he has quite a good range of movement. He has a ball jointed shoulder with that kind of butterfly hinge style extra piece, so you can move up, down, and you can kind of pivot in and out a bit. He has the dual hinged elbows, which you can get quite a good range of movement on. He has a ball joint at the wrist. Basically, he has the standard McFarlane ball joint, so you can twist the wrist to have up and down, or if you want it to have side to side, you just twist it and then you twist the hand, and then you can have in and out movement instead. So it does have that. His head is on a ball joint. He actually has a double neck joint. He has the joint at the base of the neck as well. So if you are moving it, it might be stuck and it might just move the whole thing around. Just be wary. He has the upper diaphragm joint, which is quite nice. He can push back quite a bit with his lower abdomen or the lower waist joint, and you can crunch kind of forward, but he has more back than forward on him. His crotch piece is basically slightly more rubberized than the rest of the figures. These are more solid. This is a bit less to give it a bit more range of movement. So you can do the splits that much. He can kick forward that much. He can kick back a bit as well. He has the dual knees, so he can actually do a full pretty much 180 on his feet. They are ratcheted joints as well, so you can hear the kind of ratchet clicking on it. He has the same kind of deal with the wrists as he does with the ankles, so he has a swivel, but he also has a ball peg that you can rotate around. So if you want forward and back, you have that, or if you want to do kind of a more side to side, you have to twist the peg and do that. Now, with the exception of the hands, there is a slight, if you don't move it, there is a slight hinge angle to the heel as well. And then he has a foot articulation. To be honest, I don't think the foot articulation is that needed on these figures. Some of them need them. Well, some of them can make use of them, but for the most part, I generally don't tend to use that kind of articulation. Sculpt wise, he's quite nicely sculpted. The bird symbol is raised on his overall uniform. There is an alternate version of this that comes in a 2-pack with red hood. Don't think I'm not too... I would have preferred kind of a black mask on him, you know, instead of the blue one. But in hand, it is quite nice. And his hair is kind of interesting. It's kind of glossy, but it has like blue highlights to it. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's quite cool. So he is quite a nicely sculpted figure and has quite a nice range of articulation. Onto the Grimknight. He has, out of all the figures, he had the most accessories. So his backpack piece is a separate piece, so if you don't want him having all these molded guns on him, you can take it off and leave it off. He's one of the few Batman figures that McFarlane has done that doesn't have a cape, the other being the Dawnbreaker, and technically this guy doesn't have a cape in a sense, the hellbat suit. But he comes with all these kind of guns and ammunition and stuff molded and strapped together. You can't take them apart, which is a shame. It would have been cool if they were individual ones, maybe strapped together, and you could disassemble them and have them wielding them all. But other than that, that's not too bad. He also comes with a grenade launcher. If I can just get it out of his hand. He doesn't want to let go of it. Now, mine came a little bit bent and warped out of the packaging. A little bit of heat should fix it. I've had popped it into the water a few times to kind of heat it, and it kind of goes back every now and again. One of the biggest issues I had with him as well, he does come with like an MP5 as well, machine gun. One of the biggest issues I had with him, and it's not as noticeable now, but when I first got him, his hands here were quite bowed. You can kind of see the contour of the arm is kind of curving in. It was far more noticeable when I first got him, so I had to dump him into a little bit of hot water just to straighten that out a bit. It's because the way he's packaged, his arms are kind of out like that in the packaging, and it looks, and I think just because of the way they're stored, it kind of bows the arms. So just be wary of that. He is quite articulated. He does have this body strap on that is glued in place. If you wanted to remove it, you'd have to cut it off. It is glued up here, I think. His belt does tend to pop off. You can see the ring where it's supposed to sit on his waist, but it does tend to pop up every now and again when you're moving him, so just be wary of that. But he has quite a good range of movement. You can, again, similar to the Nightwing, he has ball joint head. Now this one doesn't have the extra piece at the bottom of the neck, so even with that, you get quite a range of movement on him. He has the articulation in the arm, that's the same. In fact, I forgot to mention that Nightwing actually has an upper bicep swivel as well, same as this guy. He has 360 on the arm. He has the hinge goes forward and back. He has that little extra piece on the inside of the armpit, just to give like an extra, I think it's more designed to hide the articulation point than anything else. Dual hinge on the elbows, which is quite good. Same idea on the wrists with the articulation, so it's a ball joint, and if you want to go in and out you have to rotate. He has some nicely sculpted arm guards with the blades on them. I would imagine this is a Batman that doesn't care about other people's safety, and as they said in the was it Comic Central, or those kind of funny Batman skits where he like hits people with these and he tells them that they go nighty night. I'm pretty sure this Batman doesn't have any trouble making people go nighty night on those. The legs are forwards, not much back. Can do the splits that much. Again, slightly more rubberized diaper crotch thing going on. Dual hinged knees, can get just a little before a 180. Because of the sculpting of the pants, it does hinder it a small bit. And the legs, or the ankles again, still have the same thing. And it's really tight on my one because I don't really use it. Again, the boot articulation for the front of the foot. As I said, you can see the belt tends to rise up a bit. He has sculpted on pistols. He has like 4 sculpted on pistols, 2 on the belt, 2 on the harness. He has what looks like ammunition pouches, looks like a radio, magazines for the guns that can't be removed. Almost looks like this is some sort of C4 thing on the top here. And he's just armed to the teeth. And he has like pouches going down, pockets going down his legs. He has what looks like knives, multi-tools, all that kind of stuff that Batman would normally kind of have. Okay, with the exception of knives, but the multi-tool part, his usual utility belt is armed to the teeth with gadgets. And he's pretty much a pretty cool Batman. He does have the Bat logo, which is sculpted on. It's not painted. Well, it is painted plastic, but it is a sculpted on piece. You can't really see it with the harness on. If you remove the harness, you can see it much better. But I don't want to remove the harness without breaking it. Overall, he's a really cool Batman. And I do like the head sculpt on this guy. He has a really nice head sculpt for one of the Batman. His ears aren't too big. Some of the Batman figures vary on the ear size. He's one of the ones that doesn't have too big a head or ear piece. So moving on to the one that I really enjoyed. It's a Green Lantern style Batman. He has, again, quite a lot of articulation. This whole piece is a separate sculpt added on. He has the Green Lantern Corps symbol over his bat symbol. His head is slightly scarred on one side. You see, it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to represent the fact that he's been corrupted so much that it's kind of destroying him from within, kind of type thing. He has these things that connect onto the back of his neck, and they connect onto this ring piece around his head. So that does limit some of the movement on the ball joint, but even with them on it, you can still get a good range of movement on him. You can get down, you can't really get much of a back on it, but with the body and the waist and all that, you can get quite a good range of movement. The one thing I will say about my one, which is kind of a disappointment, is that the upper piece tends to sit a bit high. So you can see a little bit of a gap between it. And then he has the same articulation with the splits. His hands can do the 360, but you have to maneuver them just out of the range of the upper shield or upper guard. And then you have the same sort of ball joints, same double jointed elbows, and can get quite a range of movement. He does have a trigger finger hand, which is kind of odd for a Batman. And he does have the lantern ring. Now, I painted the ring on this. The ring is the same plastic as the glove. Or sorry, the paint. The ring is normally the same plastic color as the glove that's on the hand. So I have really old Citadel paint that's a metallic green. So I use that to paint the ring, just to give him a bit more pop. He does have these kind of goggle type things on his eyes, which is kind of cool as well. And then he has the almost 180 on the feet and extra articulation on the ankle, just as everyone else. And you can get some good range of movement and good poses out of him. And he does come with one interesting accessory. If I just get him to stand. And it's one that I can't really get him to hold that well, but he comes with this construct. It's a bat. Well, it's several bats as one of the lantern constructs. It's kind of, I'm not sure if you can see it that well, but it's kind of a vampire bat looking type thing, or a fruit bat. And it's designed so that it's supposed to fit around his hand and kind of on his arm. And you're supposed to be able to put it onto him, and it's supposed to look like he's creating it, which is pretty cool. And then onto the big chunky one, which is this guy. If I just move the others out of the way. Now I'm going quite a bit over time. This is going to be a bit of a long video, so I'll go through this guy pretty quickly, hopefully. So this is the hellbat suit. He is, I think, one of the earlier figures, because he doesn't have the double jointed elbows like everyone else does. He only has a single joint. He has a swivel. He has this really nice metallic, actually I'm going to take his wings off. His wings are removable. It's interesting on the artwork. He actually looks like he has an actual, wouldn't say cloth cape, but he has like a standard Batman style looking cape. He has these big shoulder pads that can be moved out of the way. They're on a ball joint, so it doesn't hinder the articulation too much. Head is on a ball joint, but you can't really get too much movement out of it. It seems to be quite stuck in place. It will move, but you can't really you can get down, you can't get up. You don't get much movement out of it, really, to be honest. He does have the same sort of waist crunch and ab crunch as everyone else, so you can look down quite good. Can't really look back too much because of the way the thing is sculpted. You can see where the wings plug in at the back here. He does have the upper bicep swivel, just like the others. And then he has these big chunky arms. What I love about him is he actually has kind of a matte paint for the gauntlet, and then there's like a silver dry brush over it, so it gives it a metallic. It's not just all black with the red. It's not just all this kind of gloss black and matte black. So there is alternating colors on him, which is kind of nice. It reminds me a lot of the Batman Beyond suit. Just the color scheme does, the red and black. And I know McFarlane is coming out with a Batman Beyond suit based on the comics as opposed to the animated show, which I'm really looking forward to getting at some point. So he has two hands. One is in a kind of more grasping, outstretched hand, and then one is kind of more, looks like it's a pinching hand. Unfortunately, most of these, or actually all of these figures don't come with alternate hands. The only guy that came with alternate hands that I'm aware of is the Superman figure. So hopefully they might do that further on down the line. They might start giving more alternate hands for figures, so you have a bit more options. The one thing I'm not too keen on is how the ankles work on this one. I would imagine that this whole boot sculpt is supposed to be like part of this big chunky piece, but because McFarlane wanted to add in that extra articulation for the legs and stuff, it has the same articulation. It's a little bit hindered because it's so bulky, but you still get it, and you even get the boot one as well, the front of the toe. But and he does have nearly 180 degree joint on the double knees as well. But because the boot is so bulky and big, he stands really, really good because of that. He has no problem standing, but it's just it distracts a little bit from the overall sculpt that you have these big ball joints on them. You could probably customize it so that they're a bit shorter, not as well noticeable, but you might lose the articulation then. But overall, really cool figures. I know I've nearly gone for half an hour on these figures. So I will wrap this up here, but hopefully you enjoyed this video review and you stuck around for it. Sorry I haven't been putting out too many videos. I've just gotten so much stuff recently, I just didn't know where to start. I have like the entire Super 7 Turtles wave. I have a whole bunch of NECA Turtle stuff that arrived. I have nearly all of these DC Multiverse figures done now. I have the Red Death and Flash 2-pack. Mortal Kombat figures. I had to get a replacement for one of the Mortal Kombat figures. And overall, I've gotten some other stuff as well, like the Halo figures, things like that from different franchises. So I'm just trying to slowly go through everything that I got during the Christmas period. So hopefully I'll get more videos out and in quicker sequence. And as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video if you watched it the whole way through. Cheers guys.